Hi everyone, I am teacher CJ, and today I will be your science teacher who will teach you about simple machines and their uses. Do you know what simple machines are? And more importantly, do you know their uses? If you want to find out, stick around because together we will explore the wonders of simple machines.
Today, we will identify the different types of simple machines and describe the characteristics and functions of simple machines. Before we start, let us answer this 5-item quiz. Write your answers on a piece of paper. Number 1. A lever has a beam which pivots on a turning point called blank. A. Arm. B. Board. C. Effort. D. Fulcrum. Number 2. Which of the following is not a type of simple machine? A. Inclined plane. B. Screw. C. String. D. Wedge. Number 3. What type of simple machine is used in raising a flag on a flagpole? A. Lever. B. Pulley. C. Wedge. D. Wheel and axle. Number 4. What type of simple machine is a bottle opener? A. Lever. B. Pulley. C. Screw. D. Wedge. Number 5. A screw is made up of blank wrapped around a post or rod. A. Beam. B. Spring. C. String. D. Thread. Now let us go to our first activity, getting to know simple machines. A set of unfinished words will be flashed on the screen. You will be given 3 seconds to supply the missing letters to form the word. Wedge. Wheel and axle. Lever. Pulley. Inclined plane. Screw. Congratulations! You have now identified the 6 types of simple machines. To recap, we have wedge, wheel and axle, lever, pulley, inclined plane, and screw. Let us explore the first type of simple machine, the lever. A lever is a bar that pivots or turns on a fixed point. The fixed point is called the fulcrum. Levers make work easier by using leverage, which multiplies the force. When you use a lever, you move a smaller force a longer distance in order to lift a load a short distance. Examples of levers include seesaw, pliers, crowbars, and tweezers. A lever has 4 parts: a beam, fulcrum, effort, and the load or resistance. There are 3 types of lever: Class 1 lever, Class 2 lever, and Class 3 lever. The classification is based on the position of the fulcrum, effort, and resistance or load. A Class 1 lever has the fulcrum placed between the effort and the load. The movement of the load is in the opposite direction of the movement of the effort. This is the most common lever configuration. A Class 2 lever has the load between the effort and the fulcrum. In this type of lever, the movement of the load is in the same direction as that of the effort. Note that the length of the effort arm goes all the way to the fulcrum and is always greater than the length of the load arm in a Class 2 lever. The last type is Class 3 lever. It has the effort between the load and the fulcrum. Both the effort and the load are in the same direction. Note that the length of the load arm goes all the way to the fulcrum and is always greater than the length of the effort arm in a Class 3 lever. Also, load in a Class 3 lever moves in the same direction as the effort. To assess what you have learned in the different types of lever, do this simple activity. Different pictures will be flashed on the screen. Analyze the pictures and label the parts of a lever. The second type of simple machine is an inclined plane. It is a flat, slanted surface that works like a ramp, which makes moving and lifting things easier. It lessens the effort exerted in transporting weight over a distance and height. It is used in raising and lowering a load. Inclined planes are widely used in form of loading ramps to load and unload goods on ships, trucks, and airplanes. Wheelchair ramps allow people in wheelchairs to get over the obstacles without exceeding their strength. The picture shown is an illustration of an inclined plane with the blue ramp as the inclined plane. With little amount of force, the load or any object can be transported. This can be helpful in transferring heavy objects at a certain height. Can you think of 5 examples of inclined plane? You're already given one example. Good job! Aside from your given examples, here are possible answers. Slide, escalator, slanted roofs, stairs, hill. The third type of simple machine is called wedge. It is a machine used to push two objects apart. It is an object that tapers to a thin edge. It is actually made up of inclined planes back to back. Pushing the wedge in one direction creates a force in a sideways direction. It is usually made of metal or wood and is used for splitting, lifting, or tightening, as in securing a hammerhead onto its handle. The picture shown is an axe, which is an example of a wedge. You will notice that the force applied to the thick end of the wedge overcomes the resistance of the wood. The force is directed downwards, but the wedge directs the force sideways as it drives into the wood, which makes it useful in splitting the wood. Did you know? Your tooth is a good example of a wedge. The base of your tooth is wider and becomes narrow at the tip. When you chew, you separate out the food particles. Do this. Determine if the following tools are examples of wedge. Put a check mark if it is a wedge and X if not. 1. Egg beater. 2. Knife. 3. Blade. 4. Door stopper. 5. Nail. Good job! Now let us move on to the fourth type of simple machine, a screw. It is a spiral wrapped around a center post. When you turn it, it can lift objects or hold two objects together. A screw has ridges around the shaft or cylinder, which is called a thread. Some good examples of screws are bolts, screws, bottle tops, light bulbs, and cork openers. Can you think of a screw device in your home? The fifth type of simple machine is wheel and axle. It makes work easier by moving objects across distances. It consists of a rod, which is called an axle, attached to a wheel. A simple doorknob is another great example of the wheel and axle. The locking mechanism of the doorknob is inside of the door and can only be controlled by the knob. Since it will be difficult turning the axle to open the door, we can turn the wheel instead, and that does the job for us. Lastly, we have pulley. It is a wheel that is used with a cord or rope. When you pull it downward, the other end lifts upward. With a pulley, an object to be lifted can be tied to one end of the rope, and the force is applied to the other end by pulling the rope downwards. The downward force turns the wheel with the rope and pulls the load upwards at the other end. It helps you to move the load or change direction of the force. Using a pulley reduces the amount of force needed to lift or pull an object. Can you now name the 6 types of simple machines? Good job! Now, let us answer this practice task. You will be given 3 seconds to answer before the answers will be flashed on the screen. If you need more time, you can pause the video. 1. Which simple machine is found on the head of this axe? 2. The seesaw is an example of which simple machine? 3. The bottle cap is an example of which simple machine? 4. The doorknob and rod make up which simple machine? 5. The wheel and rope make up which simple machine? 6. Which simple machine is on the back of this truck? To assess what you have learned, answer this 10-item quiz. Write your answers on a sheet of paper. You can pass your answers to your teacher for checking. Let us start. 1. Which of the following is not a type of simple machine? A. Inclined plane. B. Screw. C. String. D. Wedge. Number 2. Which of the following is an example of a wedge? A. Broom. B. Knife. C. Ramp. D. Stairs. Number 3. A lever has a beam which pivots on a turning point called blank. A. Arm. B. Board. C. Effort. D. Fulcrum. Number 4. What type of simple machine is used in raising a flag on a flagpole? A. Lever. B. Pulley. C. Wedge. D. Wheel and axle. Number 5. John is using a screwdriver to insert a screw. The screwdriver is being used as blank. A. Lever. B. Pulley. C. Wedge. D. Wheel and axle. Number 6. Which is an example of someone using a simple machine to do work? A. A man wiping the dirt. B. A banker counting money. C. A girl eating an ice cream. D. A woman pushing a cart up a ramp. Number 7. A screw is made up of blank wrapped around a post or rod. A. Beam. B. Spring. C. String. D. Thread. Number 8. What are the two parts that make up a pulley? A. Wheel and axle. B. Wheel and rope. C. Wheel and screw. D. Wheel and fulcrum. Number 9. The bottle cap is an example of what type of simple machine? A. Lever. B. Pulley. C. Screw. D. Wedge. And number 10. What type of simple machine is a bottle opener? A. Lever. B. Pulley. C. Screw. D. Wedge. Congratulations on finishing the lesson. Now you know the different types of simple machines and their uses. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time!